thoroughbred trio of Mike Summerbee, Francis Lee and Colin Bell were all recruited for Manchester City by the Mercer-Allison partnership. Joe Mercer, the respected establishment figure, and the rebel Malcolm Allison, his hugely ambitious coach. City were in Division 2, and Summerbee was one of their first signings. A versatile outside right who arrived from Swindon Town in August 1965. Later that season, with City top of the league, Allison finally secured Colin Bell's transfer from Bury.
Well, I told Joe about this player, and he used to say to me, he used to always send me to look at the players, you know. And I think he saw him play only about once. And I used to sit in the stand, and we didn't have enough money, you know, they wanted 40-odd thousand pounds for him. And we didn't have enough money at Manchester City. So I used to sit in the stand and I used to watch the game, and there would be 5 or 6 scouts this side and 3 or 4 managers this side, you know. And I used to say, he's hopeless on his left foot, you know. He's not too good in the air. Look at his positional play. And I used to criticise him all the time, you know. And, because, you know, and I could imagine some of their reports, you know, going in, he's not very good on his left side, you know, and he's this, that and the other. And I used to insult him and call him, he's saying he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that, you know, until we had the money, and then we went and bought him. And then Joe, then when we bought him, Joe was watching and he was sitting in the stand, and I was warned off the touchline at the time. I was sitting near Joe. He went to me, the second game I think, or first game. No, the second game it was, and he said to me, how did we pay £42,000 for that play? He said, he's hopeless, he said to me.
That hopeless 20-year-old helped City win the second division by 5 points. But a season of struggle followed back in Division 1, and in October 1967, City purchased the third piece of their magic jigsaw. Francis Lee was a bustling forward bought from Bolton for £60,000. The first match in which Lee, Bell and Summerbee played together, City beat Wolves 2-0 and was soon attracting attention.
You know, we do everything quick and simple, and we're remarkably fit. We don't mind who comes and sees us training or who sees us playing. You know, we feel it's a simple game, and we try to make it simple.
City were third in the league when Spurs came to an icy Main Road in December and took a 7th-minute lead through Jimmy Greaves. City's response was so sure-footed, the newspapers later christened it the Ballet on Ice.
Now Pardo. Doyle to Lee. Ooh, that ball ran away from him. Doyle, Coleman. Summerbee, Lee. Mallory, Bell, Leach. Colin Bell, the scorer. Summerbee to Young. Oh, what a save by Jennings. Summerbee. Lead behind him now. Young. Oh, what a goal! He's hit the bar. Coleman. Up to Young. Up to Summerbee. A great goal! A lovely goal by Summerbee. Lee. Summerbee. Nimble on his feet, perfect balance up to Lee. Great football. And he's hit the post, a goal! Coleman. 3 goals to 1. 19 minutes gone. A superb bit of football by Manchester City. Young. And a chance for Bell. And a goal by number 10, Young, Manchester City's top scorer. Here comes Summerbee. Screams at Mike. And Mike's got it himself. Hit the post, Young. It's hit the post again. Well, there are only 2 posts and a set of goal posts, and Manchester City hit them both.
What was impressive to me about that game was that Dixie Dean was there. And he said to me, and Joe, he said, that is one of the most brilliant sides I've ever seen.
City led the championship going into the last Saturday, and while challengers Manchester United were losing at home to Sunderland, City faced a nail-biting finale at Newcastle.
Before Doyle to Bell in the Newcastle penalty area now, to Doyle, and there it is, there's the first goal. Mike Summerbee has scored. Now Sinclair in position, and here comes Brian Robson. It's a goal! Brian Robson, Bob Robson has scored. He's equalised for Newcastle, Brian Robson. Dangerous player. There's Colin Bell to Oakes. Trying a shot through, and there it is! There's the second one. It looks as if it was Neil Young. Number 10 for City it is, it's Neil Young, there he is. Oh, Big George Heslop using his weight. He really is a big one. And there is the equaliser from Jackie Sinclair. There is the equaliser from Jackie Sinclair. What a shot. Leslie again, backed up by Doyle. Summerbee lying in an offside position. To Bell. Well cut in that. And this must be it. There it is. Neil Young has scored. Neil Young has scored the second of his goals today. Lee. He played being held there by Clark. Bell. What can he do? There's Lee. There's Lee. He's not offside. He's not offside. Lee has scored. Lee has scored the fourth. This must surely be it. Brian Robson. He's got it, and he's crossed it. It's a great chance, and there is a goal. There is a goal. John McNamee has scored. I'm sure they can hardly stand the tension. I know I can't. And there it is. Manchester City are the champions of the First Division. They defeated Newcastle by 4 goals to 3.
It was a tremendous atmosphere. The crowd were both the Geordies and all the Manchester, and they were all singing and happy, you know, at the end of the game, people running on the pitch. But I think it was a great relief for all the players in the City side. It was the first and only major trophy any of them have ever won, and they couldn't believe it. And that's why it was a great occasion. And I think that just whetted our appetite to get wired in and win something else as well.
The people I've spoken to over the years, I think there was 96,000 there. They've all said, oh, how was it that game? How was it that game? And there was only 40-odd thousand there. And the thing I remember about is they were even sat over the wall on the walk round, and they never encroached on the pitch. No fencing up, no nothing. 40-odd thousand goals going in both ends, a lot of excitement, and they all behaved themselves, and it was terrific.
The new champions warmed up for the 1968-69 season with a Charity Shield demolition of West Bromwich Albion.
Collard to young Hartford. Now Summerbee. He's got Owen up there with him. Here's Owen. And a goal! 1 minute. Owen has scored. Oakes, beautiful ball to Bell, and Summerbee moving around very intelligently. And a goal! A goal scored by Lovett. He's fought for his own goal. Is it Bell or Lee going to take it? No, Lee. To Bell, to Summerbee, to Lee. Oh, what a goal! Oh! Perfection, and Lee the scorer. Lovett trying to send Chris Whitney away, is a chance. Yes, it must be. Yes, 3-1. Owen. Oh, it's a goal! Yes! Yes, the goal definitely over the line. Yes, Owen has scored. Bell, Summerbee on the right with Lee. Lee now to Doyle. Now Young. Almost out of that one. 5. Young has scored. Oakes to Bell. In moves Summerbee. Lee. 6-1.
We really thought we were in for a tremendous season. But after we won that, we didn't win a game for about 10 games.
But it was a hard season, that particular season, because we won the championship the year before. That particular season, every game was like a cup tie. All the teams that we played came out and wanted to beat us because we were league champions. And we didn't know what was happening till the season was halfway over. And it was a hard season.
I think we started off the season so well again in the Charity Shield by really thrashing West Brom at Main Road. Everybody just thought, we'll go out and play them, you know, and just carry on from there. And we suddenly started to struggle. We were a bit overconfident. I thought that we thought we were going to win every game by scoring a lot of goals, and we really weren't playing well by the time the European Cup came round. And then the Turks, everybody expecting us to beat Fenerbahce. I think we were overconfident again. We finished up drawing with them at Main Road and getting beat over there.
Failure to terrorise Europe, as Allison had promised, was accompanied by a slump in the league. City's cavalier football suddenly wasn't producing results, and the champions ended the season in 13th place. The FA Cup offered the season's salvation, and in a tight semi-final against Everton, City's football was at times inspired. Much to the delight of their coach.
Young, about 20 yards in his own half, plays the ball up to Bell. Bell plays the ball fairly quickly up to Lee. Lee controls the ball, and you'll see Young come into the picture now, overlapping. He's run about 60 yards before he hits this tremendous shot.
3 minutes to go, no score. Young with the corner for City. And there goes Doyle, Summerbee there, and there's Booth, number 5, and it's a goal. City have scored 3 minutes from the end.
In the build-up to the 1969 FA Cup final, the trio of Lee, Bell and Summerbee came under detailed scrutiny from both club and international manager.
And if you look very closely at players, receiving the ball, in particular Summerbee, who faces his own player to some great extent. In other words, faces his own goal to receive a pass from his own players. He receives the ball, he brings players to him, and in bringing players to him is able to use the ball accurately in supplying players that are coming from the back. I believe that Summerbee doing this in the England team was more than successful in this business of showing himself to receive the ball from other players. He holds the ball whilst his players are reforming and taking up more positive or more attacking positions, and he uses the ball accurately to them.
Front runners, goal scorers, fellas that's making it positive. Fellows who, you know, who play where it really hurts, in the penalty box. Mike Summerbee, a very brave player. Beginning of the season he wasn't doing too well, but he was forgetting to do basics. Mike is one of the best players with his back to the game and in turn. This is the most difficult thing, especially in modern football where they're coming in hard and they're tackling through you. I think you'll see Mike Summerbee at his best at Wembley.
We will see Colin Bell, who's a very young player that gets through a tremendous amount of work, who is more suited from coming from deep positions into forward attacking players than actually being a forward attacking player.
Summerbee. Doyle. Oakes moving it forward. Oh yeah, it's a good shot. That's the goal.
Bell, well, I feel, you know, we haven't seen the best of Bell. He can be better than he's played for England. He's improving all the time. He's got fantastic energy and stamina. Bit casual at times, or he looks casual at times. He's going to be the best player the City's had since Peter Doherty.
this, you will notice that Francis Lee, also an attacking player who loves to get into goal-scoring positions. Most certainly, if not goal-scoring positions, shooting positions.
Francis Lee, well, Wembley seems to be his home ground. I say to him every time I see him play for England, I say, do you think you can arrange to play like that for me sometime? Well, perhaps he will on Saturday. Short steps. Since we fetched him inside the field, his short, sharp bursts of speed seems to suit him better. And his secret is this acceleration that he's got over 5 yards to get into these situations. He explodes into these situations.
City were favoured to win the final against relegation-doomed Leicester City, and Wembley was already familiar to Lee, Bell and Summerbee, who'd all played there for England, as Sir Alf Ramsey rebuilt his 1966 World Cup winning team.
Well, it's something I remember about 3 years ago. I came to watch Everton and Sheffield Wednesday, and I was in Bolton then. I came with a friend and I said to him, I give a year's wages to play in the cup finals. We haven't on the field today, it's come true.
Now, do you feel differently before the cup final than you did before playing for England in the international?
Just slightly a bit more nervous, I think, but I think it'll be all right once I come up the tunnel, It'll be all right then,
Now, let's have a word with Mike Summerbee. Mike, you're looking very serious.
I'm just looking at the crowd, that's all.
Enjoying it?
Yeah, very good, yeah.
You've got a whole lot of supporters here.
Yeah, tremendous. When we were coming up, to the ground, there seemed to, I don't know if there is, there seemed to be more Manchester City supporters than there was Leicester, I don't know. I don't know where you got the tickets from.
Now, I asked Francis about how different it is playing here and playing for England. Do you find a difference on this occasion, this
I do, yeah.
tension, atmosphere?
The atmosphere seems to be greater than when I played for England here, but, there's everybody aims to play in the cup final. It's such a great occasion. I think the atmosphere is greater for a cup final.
What about any nerves, any butterflies in the tummy? Have you got any?
Not really, no. I just want to get out there and play, get it over with.
From now onwards is the worst time, is it? You're here and...
Not really, the build-up so much to the cup final. This is what makes it, so nervous and things like that. But once the game starts, I think they disappear then, because that's what we're here for, to play football.
Well, anyway, let's hope it's a great game for you, and as we'll let you go to the dressing room, we'll just have a quick word with Colin Bell, another man we've got to congratulate on getting in the England party, the South American tour. Now, Colin, how do you feel at this moment, an hour before the cup final starts?
Very nervous indeed. More nervous than normal, anyway.
Are you normally a nervous sort of player?
I normally have butterflies before a normal league game, but I have more here than I'll ever have, I think.
Now, could you really put your nerves into words? Have you got any pains or any quivering?
No, just more or less the stomach a bit tense at the moment.
Now, what are you going to do to get rid of this before the final?
Well, I don't think there's anything I can do to get rid of it before the final. After the first 5-10 minutes, I suppose they'll have gone once they get into the game.
Lee to Young. Now Summerbee sticking to his spot on the wing. Summerbee, this could be a dangerous situation. Sensibly trying to hit it low into the box. Belgian, far too much room. To Summerbee. Bell. Once again, did you notice it? Coleman, and Rams there again. This boy Young is always buzzing around in this box. Oh, Woollett put his captain in trouble then, and it's Lee now for Manchester City. Three running by Summerbee. Coleman! Oh, he hit that one so hurriedly he'll never forgive himself. Oh, but what a beautiful break that was by Manchester City. Great running by Summerbee. Laid on that chance for Coleman. First time we've seen Summerbee moving inside, not being on this right touchline. Summerbee moved inside. It's Woollett with him. Summerbee back to Young. It's there! Beautiful goal! Scored by Young. Made by Summerbee. 23 minutes gone. The credit for that was Summerbee. Scoring Young. And notice the persistence of number 7, Summerbee. he beat Woolett, and then he pulls it back. And Young again in that perfect position. He made no mistake with that shot. A brilliant goal after 23 minutes. Neil Young.
Congratulations on that goal. You're looking a much more relieved man now. How are you feeling?
Well, much better after that. But mind you, it was against run of play, I thought. They had a couple of chances, could have gone in. But Summerbee's playing magnificent, and I think he made the goal. And of course, Neil Young, when he puts it on his left foot, it's just his chance.
Doyle, always someone of City in space, and whoops, there's Young. And a corner. Now, this man Bell finds oceans of space. He finds space that doesn't even exist. To Lee. They'll never give up, these Manchester City fellows, and Lee gets a corner. What a beautiful ball to Glover. Lockhead moving into the middle. Gibson's there. Clark is there. Clark, Lockhead. It's the goal. Andy Lockhead must be wondering now. 8 feet high, 8 yards wide, and how could I miss? Lee to Coleman. Mansell got all 5 forwards up, and in comes Bell. And that header was going like a bullet. What a goalkeeper Peter Shilton is. And what a header by Bell. Now Bell playing the 1-2 ball with Lee. And look at this determination of Lee. Back to Summerbee. Truss getting it away, but there's always a Manchester player there. It's almost murderous pressure. Young, and a great tackle by Ron Leeds. Well, Summerbee being very brave, rolling his stockings down, discarding shin pads. He might never have worn them, but I'd hate to play with bare shins. Now it's Lee. Lee with a chance for City. It's the side netting.
The FA Cup was only the second of 4 major trophies that City captain Tony Book would lift in the space of 3 seasons.
Actually, it was an amazing thing because Tony Coleman had that. He came to me about after the semi-final. He said to me, "I've got these 2 tattoos on my hands, Malcolm." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I can't shake hands with royalty with tattoos on my hands." I said, "All right, I'll send you to Christie Hospital." So I sent him to Christie Hospital, got that tattoos taken off. So he's come in the next day and he's got his hands bandaged up, you know. I said, "You all right?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Very painful." I said, "That'll be all right." I said, "The pain will go away 2 or 3 days and, you know, you just have 2 white marks there, like 2 pennies." So he said, "OK." So anyway, we go to the cup final and Princess Anne's a guest of honour. So she comes out and meets Tony Book. Tony Book says, "Pleased to meet you." She meets Joe. Joe says, "This is Captain Tony Book. Pleased to meet you, ma'am. How are you? This is Grimpardo. How do you do?" And he goes along the line. And Tony's standing number 11 at the end of the line. And he can't think of anything to say. He said, "I've had these tattoos taken off, and I've got to say, I can't just say, 'Pleased to meet you, ma'am. How do you do, ma'am?'" And she comes to Summerbee, and Summerbee said, "Hello, darling. What are you doing tonight?" You know, and the lads had a little smile. And then they go to do 7, 8. They go to Belly, and then they go to Francis Lee. And then Tony Coleman still can't think of anything to say. You know, his mind's blocked. And it comes to Neil Young, and Neil Young's number 10, and she went, "How do you do?" And "Pleased to meet you, ma'am." Comes to Tony Coleman, he went, "Pleased to meet you, ma'am. Give my love to your mum and dad." And that night, the Queen sent him a telegram thanking him for his good wishes. Yeah, yeah.
We went out believing that we could beat anybody. Doesn't matter who we turned out against. The team talks were very, very limited. It was just a couple of free kicks and get out and play. You're better than the side you're playing, score more goals than them, and that was it. I mean, so the team talks were a waste of time really on a Friday. They only lasted about 2 minutes. It was the same every Friday. You're a good side, get out and play.
The only part of the team talk really was when Harry was in goal, Harry Dow, wasn't it? we used to have a team talk in London, and Malcolm Allison and Joe Mercer used to talk, and he used to say, Harry, because he wasn't the slightest bit interested in football. He was rather doing plumbing than being a footballer. He said, Harry, we're playing Arsenal today, and they're in red and white.
On the international front, Lee and Bell now held regular places in the England team being prepared for the 1970 World Cup.
One man they must try and contain Lee. He scored! Oh, and the Irish were very slack about that one. And Francis Lee was able to get the whole lot of them.
So it's going to be a penalty. Astle discussing life with Bobby Charlton and Colin Bell. And of course, England's penalty taker, Jeff Hurst, is not in the side this time. So it's going to be Francis Lee. England 0, Wales 1. Bell, Lee. And poor Francis Lee, his first penalty for England, and he's failed to equalise. Lee. Charlton to Lee. Charlton. That's it! Beautifully set up. And that really is one for the Wembley scrapbook. Bell. Charlton. Bell, good running by Bell. Spriggs out of position. Astle! Cleared up the line by Rodrigues, and finally Lee.
This is Bell. Lee, and it's a goal! No. Yes, it is a goal. The referee seemed to wave his hands as if he wasn't going to give it, but he's given it. Now Peters. And we've got three men in the middle. And a great chance, a goal scored by Bell. He scored it. A dreadful mistake by that Brazilian defence, and Bell has scored for England.
Off the field, Francis Lee had been busy developing business interests that would later make him a millionaire. Still only 25, he shrewdly forecast football's future.
The greatest thing for the game, I think, was when the maximum wage was abolished. Chaps became more dedicated to it. They thought, well, I can earn a lot of money at it, probably as much as I could in all my working life in another job. So it's worth dedicating yourself to. And I think this is why English football, especially in Europe, has come on so much. I think football will get bigger and bigger in this country. I think you'll see the times, probably not in my career, but in another 10 years where your football stars will be like the golfers and the tennis players. They will earn fantastic amounts of money from outside the game and things like this. If you say that Tom Jones is on at Palladium and he gets £5,000 for one night's appearance, and a footballer is playing in front of a sellout, say 60,000, and he's providing entertainment for 60,000 people, and he's getting paid, we'll say, for a figure £100 a week, I think it's cheap. It's the cheapest form of entertainment going.
Despite Charity Shield defeat at Leeds, the City Stars continued to provide that cheap entertainment next season.
Oh, great save by Spriggs.
Both at club and international level.
What a shot by Francis Lee. That's what made him into a world-class player.
And it's a free kick, and Summerbee's in, and it's Bell. Oh, and it's a goal. Bell's got a goal. Well, with commentary, all waiting and wondering what it was all about. There's the first goal of the match. Francis Lee coming through strong for Colin Bell, appealing for offside, but Bell gets it. Bell's got it. A lovely ball from Lee.
Hurst. England have got three men in the 18-yard area. Bit of pushing and shoving going to Bell with a header up the crossbar. Mallory moving forward, square of Charlton. England 4 being held up front. Charlton on a return, couldn't get out of it. Bell coming in, and a goal by Colin Bell out of nothing.
Now Young. This is better from Young. Summerbee. And a goal by Mike Summerbee. Oakes. Well played by Tommy Doyle. Lee getting an awful lot of room.
City had already beaten great rivals Manchester United 4-0 in the league when they met in the semi-final of the League Cup. City winning over 2 legs with a 2-2 draw at Old Trafford, in which Ian Bowyer scored after 17 minutes. And a goalkeeper mistakenly dived to save an indirect free kick.
Now Francis Lee had better get that leg right, because this is a tailor-made position for him. Oh, it's an indirect free kick, so it'll have to be teed up. Obstruction. Oh, no, he's not going to have a shot at goal. Oh, it's a goal by Summerbee!
Stepney's touch meant Summerbee had scored. Jeff Astle was that season's top First Division goal scorer, and his header put City a goal down in the League Cup final against West Brom. The Wembley pitch had been all but destroyed by the Royal International Horse Show some months earlier, and conditions underfoot didn't suit City's normal passing game. Colin Suggett might have wrapped it all up for Albion, but he didn't, and City popped in the equaliser through the tireless Mike Doyle. Left-back Glyn Pardo, wearing 11 but playing in midfield, hooked in the winner, and City had now won the League Cup, the FA Cup and the Championship in successive seasons. Francis Lee was acclaimed the star.
But that's one of the finest games he's ever played. I mean, Malcolm will reiterate what I say, and most of the lads, that was the best game he's ever played. I think I've ever seen him play and been involved with him. He was outstanding that day.
City was still chasing another trophy in the European Cup Winners' Cup, but began the home leg of the semi-final against Schalke a goal down.
Francis Lee. Oakes diagonally forward to his left, and he finds him. Mistake by Victor. This is Doyle. And just the start that City wanted. Colin Bell. Neusman coming across. That's a good ball picked up by Oakes. Young. 2 up for City. Bell finding Oakes again. Always coming forward, Alan Oakes. This is Young. Oh, what a left foot! 5 minutes of the second half gone. City 3 up, 3-1 on aggregate. This is Doyle. Lee to his left. And Lee going straight in. Enigma for sure. Never saw that. Pardo to Young. Bell! And the flick was just enough. The goalkeeper flat-footed. Van Haren coming in. Paul Schmidt there. Earlhoff. In comes the Buda. Just consolation, but it doesn't matter much.
Really outplayed them in every department. And I remember the coach, he was a leading German coach, he was Helmut Schön's assistant, I think, saying it was one of the finest performances he'd ever seen by a British club. So then we went on to the final of the European Cup Winners' Cup in Vienna, where we beat Gornik 2-1.
Paul Schiller, the Austrian referee, leads out the 2 teams for this Cup Winners' Cup final. On the right, Tony Book of Manchester City. On the left, Oslislo, the skipper of Gornik. And in 4th place there, just going through, was Lubanski, a man that Manchester City are going to have to give a very careful eye on. Already he's scored 7 goals in the competition. Some 4,000 City supporters in the ground, but the Prada Stadium really pretty empty. City without Mike Summerbee, Gornik at full strength, and in that lineup, no less than 190 caps. Tony Book, Lee on the near post, Young on the far. Lee. What a player, and what a good reflex save by Koska. Pardo. Oakes inside him. Lee further down the touchline. Olek, as ever, with him. Lee trying to tee himself up. Good save by Koska. Young! Neil Young, his 4th goal in the competition, but made by Francis Lee without a doubt. Just look how Francis Lee works himself into the right position. beats Olek. The goalkeeper, in fact, does well to get down by the near post, and Neil Young is the Johnny on the spot. This is Polensky. Not a very good ball towards Lislow. Young is clear. Costa coming out. Penalty, it must be. Schiller coming up, the referee, and it is. Points to the spot. Surely no doubt in his mind at all. As we look at it again, you can see a clear body check by the goalkeeper on Neil Young. Francis Lee to take the penalty with a good fast bowler's run up. The rain absolutely teeming down. Was a bit lucky, the power took it through the legs. And no cover at all in this part of the stadium, not even for the press. Olek. Chased by Bowyer there. Bell, must be a foul, obstruction. Free kick somewhat, 15 yards from the 18-yard box. 11 there is Sharinsky. And Olek and Shortashik on the ball. Shortashik to take it. Lubansky, nice play by him. Oslislow! 2-1. The Gornick skipper has scored. Lee towers inside him. Lee really very, very difficult to control. Olek has never really been near him. Bowyer! Well, the chance was clearly there to sew the whole thing up, but it went all wrong. And City hanging grimly now onto this lead at 2-1. Olek again splashing through the puddles. The spectators really very wet, no cover at all in this Prada Stadium. Neil Young. One or two fans, I think that's the final whistle, but in fact it's a free kick been given to Gornick. Neil Young backtracking. But it's a free kick that's never going to be taken. The Cup Winners' Cup has gone to Main Road. City players now coming up to collect their reward. Tony Book to collect the Cup Winners' Cup from Hans Bangerter, the Secretary General of UFA. Rather large trophy. Escapado just to the left of Tony Book, to his left. And the rain's still teeming down, but it doesn't matter too much now. And the old man being lifted up again. It's becoming something of a habit. And that's what it's all about. The European Cup Winners' Cup, which will now join the League Cup on the shelf at Main Road.
Light-hearted capers on the flight back home were mostly at the expense of manager Joe Mercer.
There was the other one, actually, with Francis. We were sat at the back of the aircraft on the way back from this trip, and he happened to notice the boss was sat on the outside aisle, and there was a vacant seat between, and there was a man sat in the corner who we didn't know, and we were on a chartered aircraft, so by the time you're going back, you know everybody. So he calls the stewardess over a piece of paper and writes on it a little message, give it to Joe Mercer. So the boss looks at the paper and it says, "The man in the corner is a suspected hijacker. Please keep him talking."
Don't
kept
panic.
him talking for about 4.5 hours, this fella, and he was a relief crew.
England's World Cup squad to Mexico in 1970 included both Colin Bell and Francis Lee.
There's Cooper. First real chasing is given them and it paid off. And Lee. That was real football by England. All created by Cooper and Lee so close. Lee, good flick. Now Charlton. There's Hurst to Lee, a ball, and England winning applause from this crowd. Right, Lee. And England really are controlling this. Charlton. To Mullery. right. Lee! Oh! Good save. And Lee took advantage as well, and he fought the goalkeeper as he followed through, but he had to go for that. It was a 50-50 ball.
The team that went to Mexico, I thought was just slightly better than the team that won it in '66, and that's not taking anything away from the lads who won it in '66. But we were unfortunate not to win the World Cup in Mexico. Right?
What
Things just didn't run our way in the game against Germany in the quarter-final. We made 3 defensive mistakes, whereas England in the 2 World Cups together had never made 3 defensive mistakes, and it cost us the match.
Colin Bell vented his World Cup disappointment with some classic goals over the next few seasons. He'd been the quarter-final sub who'd replaced Bobby Charlton.
Pardo. This is Alan Oakes. 20 minutes gone, and it's Colin. What a goal! What a goal! What a fantastic shot by Colin Bell.
There's Doyle and Bell.
Summerbee again.
Drive the City side really if they're going to save this. As Bell, 2-1! And Bell with something that came right out of nothing.
A replay in a neutral country was needed when City met old rivals Gornick in the quarter-finals of the 1970-71 Cup Winners' Cup. The ever-dependable Neil Young shooting City ahead in Copenhagen after 20 minutes. Then centre-half Tommy Booth glancing in goal number 2 shortly before half-time. Although Gornick pulled the goal back in the second half through Lubanski, City finally won 3-1. It was Colin Bell's individual skills that set up City's 3rd goal for Francis Lee. But sadly, injury was to force Bell to miss both legs of the semi-final against Chelsea. A much-depleted City lost both those games 1-0. Francis Lee's 20th England cap was won in a European Championship match against Malta at Wembley in 1971. Martin Peters and the other 1966 veterans like Bobby Moore and goalkeeper Gordon Banks now playing with new boys like Ralph Coates, Roy McFarland and Martin Chivers. Lee's goal, one of England's 5, was his 9th in international football. And in November, Summerbee scored a collector's item against Switzerland. His one and only England goal. The 71-72 season again didn't produce a trophy for City.
Still Summerbee though.
But a record 15 penalties.
Brought down, is he? Yes.
All scored by Francis Lee.
Lee against Bolton. No mistake at all by Pat. Lee loves to take them like that, hitting them hard and true, right in the roof of the net.
Lee scored 35 goals in all that season.
Now Lee. Oh, yes. Francis Lee, straight through that wall of players.
And even found time for pantomime.
If gentlemen will make a riot and punch each other's heads at night, we're quite disposed to keep it quiet, provided that they make it right. But if they do not seem to see it, or give to us our proper terms, we run them in, we run them in, we run them in, we run them in, and show them we're the bold young dons. We run them in, we run them in, we run them in, we'll show them that we are the bold young dons.
You're two of the funniest England footballers I've ever seen. Which one's which here?
Well, I'm Francis Lee.
I'm Mike Summerbee.
Mike?
Yeah.
You've been accused of being a bit of a diver and an actor on the field. Are you a good actor on the stage?
I think I'd copy off Franny.
You know, I'm a better penalty taker than you, son. You'll never ever be educated, lad.
By March 1972, Allison was now called team manager, Mercer still manager. City were top of the First Division, only a handful of games left, when they signed a talented yet impulsive individual.
Book. Summerbee. Marsh going right. What a good reverse ball that was. Bell moving into the middle, so is Lee. Bell! Beautifully set up goal. Colin Bell, the scorer. Tony Book looking for them. Finding Wyn Davies, took it well on his chest. Marsh going in!
Instead of securing another championship, though, City won only 4 of the last 9 games. And even though they beat Derby at Main Road, they couldn't prevent Brian Clough's team from snatching the title. In retrospect, the reason to some seems clear.
I think we were 6 points clear at one stage. And then we had Wyn Davies was with us then, who was tremendous centre forward for us, tremendous in the air, you know, especially with the crosses that used to come in. And with Francis feeding off him, Franny was getting goals every Saturday. He could score goals without a big fella, but this fella was a great foil for him. He used to cause so many problems. And then suddenly, Malcolm decided to buy Rodney. Now, we're all good fans of Rodney Marsh, and we're all great friends, but Rodney, at that time, wasn't the player for us, because it all stopped. We were a quick attacking side that got down the line quickly or got through the middle quickly and had shots. And suddenly, I mean, he started to stop playing because he was making his 40, 50-yard runs, and it was being stopped, you see. And that's when it started to go wrong. And it's my own personal opinion, and I've got nothing against Rodney's ability as a player, because he was a great player. But that particular time for us, he wasn't the right player. We were 6 points clear. If we'd have continued with the formation we played, we'd have gone ahead and won that championship that year. I don't have any shadow of a doubt about that.
We could have picked up the championship that year, because I remember about 8 games to go. The last 8 games, I don't think we won a game.
In May, Mike Summerbee enjoyed perhaps the best of his 8 appearances for England.
Summerbee. And England really on a hatful. Summerbee. Here's Bell.
But while England prospered, there was to be a sad departure from City for Joe Mercer. The manager, who'd consoled and counselled his players like a father figure, was demoted when Allison was given control of all team affairs. 3 days later, Mercer left to join Coventry.
The great thing about Joe was that he'd come in on Tuesday or Wednesday, he'd play golf Monday or Tuesday, and he'd come in and he'd say to me, "Have you done this?" I'd say, "Yeah." "Have you done that?" I'd say, "Yeah." He said, "Have you done that?" I'd say, "Yes." "Have you done this?" I'd say, "Yeah." He said, "What about so-and-so?" And he'd come out with these little things, you know, just a little thing, and I'd say, "No, I've not done that." And that's where we were a good team, because, you know, he had this thing, just bringing up odd things and saying, you know, and those little tiny things make the team.
I think it's a perfect combination because Malcolm was probably the best coach I ever worked with in football, and he motivated the players and got them to play and practice with them and everything like that. And Joe was sort of the father figure. He was sort of pouring oil on troubled waters every time Malcolm stirred up the troubled waters and caused the troubled waters. But I think they were a very good combination, you know. And Joe, at that time, Matt was the manager of Manchester City. Joe gave Manchester City the same amount of dignity as Manchester United had got through Matt Busby, and I think it was a nice balancing act.
This continental style away strip didn't help City win a trophy in the 1972-73 season. They never climbed higher than 8th in the table, despite away wins at Everton, West Brom, and here at Tottenham, where Francis Lee scored twice. The steadying hand that once had steered City to success was now harder to detect. Allison left for Crystal Palace before the end of the season. Johnny Hart was in charge when an old favourite returned to City on a free transfer from Manchester United.
This is Oates. All five forwards up. Number 10, Francis Lee. Aimed at Bell, who got there. Law! What a moment for Dennis Law. Opens the scoring on his second league debut for Manchester City. 13 years after he made his first. Birmingham defence have done well in the absence of John Roberts. Bell! Oakes. Marsh. That's Hind in front of him. Looking for Law! The perfect finish for Dennis Law's perfect day.
England too looked to be headed for a perfect day when they warmed up for a vital World Cup qualifying game against Poland by knocking 7 past a hapless Austria. But qualification for the 1974 World Cup in Germany wasn't a formality.
Chivers, Peters, that could well be a pass for Hughes by Kasperjak. Ransmikevich, Bell. But another ooh.
Tomaszewski wasn't the clown that some had said.
England turning the screw. Here's Shannon, three in the middle. Peters, Chivers, just surely no blocked. Curry, Shannon, Bell, great stop.
Well, I was choked. Normally, at league level, it would take me a couple of days to get over a defeat on Saturday, probably through to Tuesday. But that particular game against Poland took me 3 or 4 weeks to get out of my system. I was absolutely choked. It was my chance of a lifetime. 4 years to go to the World Cup every 4 years. That was the one I was going to go to and make my name with England. And I didn't get the opportunity when I was at the peak of my career. And to lose out to Poland, that was it. I was devastated. It took me, like I say, that length of time to get over that particular game.
I was disappointed I didn't get picked in the squad when England got knocked out against Poland, because I played against all the Polish players about 5 times from Gornik. And I thought, I nearly picked up the phone and rang Alfram and said, look, don't bother about picking me anymore, just pick me to play against the Polish defenders, because they were frightened. They were frightened both physically and ability-wise, because we had some real hard games against them, and I think I could have just done the job that night. I nearly picked up the phone. I thought, oh, sorry.
When you say nearly, how nearly?
Nearly picked it up and rang him. Said, please pick me for this one game.
Could you have done that? Would Alf have listened?
I don't know. He might have said, bugger off.
Ron Saunders had become City's 3rd manager in a year when City met Coventry in a League Cup quarter-final replay.
Alderson. Oh, he's done it well. And it's going to go. Lee trying to make it. Just too crowded there. Now Doyle. Law, and they're not in by Summerbee. Alderson. Hutchison coming up. Alderson there. It's got to be, and is. Tending now to stick more and more often, hardly surprisingly. Here's Lee, and he's made it. The long one down. Here's Marsh. Law. Bell. And he's been given. Slight hush. And no question.
away. Towers. And driven home by Law. It's all over now. No question now as Lee takes Law for a ride of delight. And the hugs from Summerbee. Manchester City, without question, are in the semi-final of the Football League Cup.
City confidently disposed of Plymouth in the semi-final, but disappointingly lost at Wembley to a late Wolves goal from John Richards. Saunders had been sacked, Tony Book elevated to manager, when City played the last game of that season against relegation-threatened Manchester United. Law's back heel helped send United down, and he never kicked a ball in league football again.
It was disappointing for United supporters that Dennis, who they'd given a free transfer to, scored the goal, backheeled the ball in to score the goal that sent them down. I remember I was running away from goal, trying to get a shot in, and I was being squeezed out, and I hit it back across the goal mouth and mishit it really, and Dennis just tokingly backheeled it, and it went.
And I think I was the first one to him after he scored. I put my arm around his shoulders, patted him across his face, and he was so sick that he scored a goal. Normally everybody's elated, but he's absolutely cheesed off.
Suddenly, after 7 seasons of loyal service, Francis Lee was sold to Derby County.
I think the morale in the dressing room, when Francis left, started to go down, I think. It wasn't the same after that. It just went downhill from Francis leaving, that it just all started to change as from then. It wasn't the same.
What was it like to be on the terraces at Main Road during that period?
Tremendous. You went to the game knowing you were going to enjoy it, because City very rarely lost at home. Even if they did lose, they played with flair, they played with some imagination. And you went along knowing it was going to be a good afternoon's entertainment, especially if we were playing United, because we usually beat them those days.
For Derby's Bruce Rioch and manager Dave Mackay, Lee's acquisition for the 74-75 season was to prove inspired.
Nish. Lee. Interesting. Very interesting. Oh! Look at his face! Just look at his face!
It was either Derby to win the league or City to win the league that year. I mean, so we were both in contention, and we beat City at Main Road 2-1, and I got the winner. I think it was a tremendous goal for me to score, really, because I proved my point that I don't think City should have sold me. I think they made a big mistake selling me, but that's life.
If they hadn't sold you, do you think the championship would have ended up at Main Road that season rather than at
I don't
Derby
think.
County?
I do think it would have stayed at Main Road, because Derby won about 8 games away from home that season, 89 games. The previous season before I went there, they only won 2.
I remember the goal well. Not a lot about the game, but the goal, it absolutely flew in. And he was absolutely delighted, I think, because he'd been transferred from Manchester City and he'd come back and score for Derby County.
But the crowd didn't realise what happened, because the crowd all rose and cheered.
They could see the blue shirt underneath his white shirt.
Bell responded to Lee's departure with his best ever season of 15 league goals.
And away by Bell, and now it's Stewart. The others are arriving quickly. In fact, it's 4 against 3. Here's Marsh. That's for Bell. Thank you very much, 4-1.
Marsh. Bell.
Now approaching 29, many felt Colin Bell was at his peak. He was rarely injured and over a 4-year period played in 33 of England's 37 internationals.
Bell, he was pulled a bit. Here's Shannon, they're queuing at the far post. Bell! To Bell.
The most haunting memory for City fans that season was when Lee teed up Henry Newton to score the goal that kept new club Derby on course to win the championship. Lee now danced to another's tune. And a second of the old Musketeers was about to be discarded.
Well, really, it was time for me to go. And also, really, I was really at the end of my career. I mean, I was about 3 years older than Franny, and probably 4 years older than Colin. So really, they gave me a bit of a lifeline, Burnley, and Jimmy Adamson was great. But they were going to give me a free transfer, but then suddenly Peter Swell stepped in and said they wanted 15,000. So they didn't do bad. They got me for 35, and I gave them 10 years service, and they got another 15. You know, so they only spent 15,000 on me, and they gave me a lifeline. I went there and I played for, I don't know, 18 months was it? 2 years, I don't know. But Burnley were tremendous, super club when Jim Adamson was there. Good lads, you know. Footballers in general, all the way around, are all the same. They all have a bit of fun and a laugh and a giggle.
The same thing happened with me when I left City to go to Derby. They paid £60,000 for me, and when they sold me to Derby, they were haggling over 100,000. Was it 110,000? Anything like that. You give them 8 years good service, they made a £40,000 profit, and they're haggling with Derby over the fee.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't even have a testimonial match anyway, which didn't matter. But it's a fact that you leave under a cloud like that. Instead of saying, well, that's the fee, pay it, and it's all done and dusted.
Now I remember when you were talking about that day when Dave Mackay stepped in, because when he left, I hoped I could go immediately, because really they wanted to sweep the dust away and wanted to get rid of us. You know, there was a regime there that didn't want the characters and the success. You know, they didn't want the successful players there anymore. They wanted to get them out the door and a fresh start.
Well, it was all breaking up. I meant to say, I've got my centre forward gone one season. At the end of the season, I've got Mike gone. So that's both players either side of me gone, and a big part of the club gone. So, like I say, the family atmosphere and the team spirit was just starting to crumble.
Tragically, Colin Bell's own career was about to crumble too. It was 6 weeks before Christmas 1975, City playing United in a League Cup tie.
First free kick to be taken by Oakes. Joe Royle is up. So is Dave Watson. Bell. Blocked everywhere and put in by Jewett. It's got to go down as one of the fastest goals in the Derby match. Doyle again. Royle. Nice header. Jewett, space on the right for Colin Bell. He fell over the ball. And Bell has remained down. Doesn't look too good with Colin Bell. Ken Barnes with his hand round the injured part. Certainly a great deal of incident at the start of this match. The first very good for City, the second very bad.
I remember Dennis Stewart knocking me through in the inside right position, and I had three options in mind what to do. The first, I was going to have a shot. If the ball would sit right, I was going to have a shot from about 25, 30 yards. And I could see the defender coming from my left. And I thought, well, I'll drag the ball inside of him and then go on for goal. Or I could even quicken up and go on for goal first thing. And the third option was to drag the ball inside. And it was Martin Buchan, as it happens. And I was weight-bearing on my right leg as I dragged the ball to let him go past its speed. And he caught my knee, bent the knee backwards, burst a couple of blood vessels, did the ligaments, did the cartilage. And off I went after about 10 minutes, and I think they won the game 4-0. There was a big improvement after I went off, and that was the start of the end of my career, really.
Do you look back at that with any animosity?
Not really, not really. People ask me if the tackle was done on purpose. I mean, to say I don't believe it was. I don't think things like that should have happened in the game of football, that people do things like that. So. No, it's a man's game. You take your knocks. I've only got to be thankful that was later 20s when I picked up the injury. If it had been 21 or 22, I'd have been well and truly upset, but you just accept the knocks.
Yeah, but it was only when he was 28, though, and Colin, because of his fitness and his ability, would have played till he was 35, 36. Mike and I couldn't play that long because of the way we played, but Colin could have played till he was 35, 36. I think he lost 7 years, 6, 7 years of his career.
I could have definitely played another 4 or 5 years. I mean, say I was a person that didn't put weight on, and fitness was natural, so to play another 4 or 5 years wouldn't have been a problem.
City went on to reach the League Cup final, where Peter Barnes scored after 11 minutes, with Newcastle equalising before half-time. But there was no Lee, Bell or Summerbee, and although Chewart's overhead kick won the cup for City, a golden age in the club's history had come to an end. Back home in Manchester, Colin Bell was preparing to soldier on for a further 3 seasons, trying to overcome crippling injury and rescue the last precious years of a glittering career. Sadly, it was never going to be quite the same again.
And what it's done in time is seized the knee up.
It's become what, like a hinge on
It's become like a rusty joint, really. I mean, it's basically need a lot of exercises over the time of being out, just to keep it going. The thing that keeps me going is the more exercise it gets, the closer I am to playing. I mean, say I get a lot of pain. I think, well, I get a lot of pain now. When I've done exercises for possibly an hour or 2 hours, it'll get less and less, and the knee will get better and better, get close to playing. There's a little bit of daylight. I can see a little bit of daylight now, and it keeps me going. I know I've got to go through pain to get the knee bent, because it hasn't been bent fully for 2 years now. So I'm going to have to go through some kind of pain and a lot of exercises to get it back to where it was. And this is what I keep doing in the gym. I keep flogging myself to death, hoping that one minute it'll just release, and that'll be it.
No physical effort was too much in the battle to prevent disappearing youth. And as Bell pounded the pavements, he could find comfort in the memory of 48 caps for England and 9 international goals. He'd captained Bury at 19, and 14 seasons at Main Road brought first and second division championship winners' medals, both FA and League Cups, and the European Cup Winners' Cup. As a City reserve in 1977-78, he also won a Central League Championship medal. But it wasn't quite the final postscript to a brilliant career.
I consider Colin Bell to be one of the greatest players of all time. And I consider him to be possibly the finest tuned athlete that football's ever seen. So when we talk about Colin Bell, we're talking about somebody very special. Our position is very precarious. 2 years, it's a long time. But overruling everything is our concern and desire to get the lad playing back in the First Division. And we will try everything that's possible to do that.
2 years after the injury, on Boxing Day 1977, Colin Bell did return to the First Division and played a further 16 league games that season, including this one against West Ham. That old number 9 shirt, once worn by Leon Summerbee, now belonged to Brian Kidd. The team had changed, but the pleasure of playing hadn't diminished.
When I was playing, I could always tell the rest of the days of the week by a Saturday. By playing on a Saturday, I could tell it was a Monday or a Wednesday or whatever. But having no special day, like a Saturday, I didn't know what day it was for 2 years. Now I'm starting to get me days right in the week.
A big cloud's been lifted, you know, from him. He is really a different person. I didn't think he changed very much, but he is, you know, so much happier.
Colin, what had to eat this morning?
Some bacon sandwiches, Fred.
Your usual bacon sandwiches, eh?
Yes.
You love those, don't you? You know they're all bad for you, those, don't you?
So you keep telling me.
City nursed and nurtured Colin Bell through another 15 games the following season. Patched up and powdered, he played 10 times in the First Division, appeared in FA and League Cup ties, and even scored a UEFA Cup goal. But he was now 33. The injury and 2 years' rehabilitation had taken their toll. As Bell tried to make his way in a new City side, how he must have yearned for the sunshine days of Lee and Summerbee, Young and Coleman, Doyle and Oakes. When the future looks uncertain, it's heartbreaking for management and chairman to accept that their once brightest star has gone out.
If it comes to the fact that he's got to quit football, the decision will be taken between Colin and the club. If he's not going to come back, I'm sure he knows it. He'll know he's not going to come back, and we'll talk about it. And sadly as it may work out, if that situation arises, we'll have to accept it. There's one thing for sure, he's irreplaceable here.
What a strange twist that as Colin Bell departed the stage in 1979, so Tony Book was relinquishing team control to the returning Malcolm Allison, the man who'd originally brought Lee, Bell and Summerbee to Manchester City over a decade earlier. In his search for their equal, Allison would spend millions and fail.
Really and truly, them three players, like Summerbee was the most consistent. He was week in and week out and week out. Francis was the best finisher and the most aware. And Colin Bell was the greatest athlete. They were phenomenal, them three players.
I think Mike was a great guy to have in your team wherever you were playing, home or away in Europe, whether it was below freezing or you're playing in Italy and it was 80 degrees, 90 degrees, because he was always the first to get going in the game and really attack and get at people, you know. There's an old saying about when the going gets tough, the tough get going, but Mike used to start right from the word go, and you could always rely on him. You know, you got tremendous speed and a beautiful cross of the ball. Not the best finisher in the world, but a marvellous player to play with. Colin was a completely different player because Colin used to play and he make it so easy. You know, he was probably the most complete inside forward all round that you'd ever see. He got tremendous speed, good stamina, good in the air, tremendous shot, and good skill as well. So he could really have played anywhere. Colin could have been a right full back, a centre half, a double centre half, midfield, or you could even play him as a striker.
Well, they're both great players, and I mean to say I was very lucky that I played between them. And as Francis said before, I mean to say when it gets hard going, you get people or players that tend to hide a little bit. But with Mike and Franny, I mean to say they were shown all the time, which made my game very easy. They always wanted the ball, always wanted to get me out of trouble, and to have one on the left and one on the right. Franny, I mean to say, was a typical centre forward, great finisher. I remember we played a game at Forest. I mean, his one downfall was probably his heading ability, but he nodded two in it at Forest in one game. He's run back and he was absolutely delighted to get two in one game. But I mean, his finishing and Mike, his speed. But I mean, they were two great players. They had everything you wanted.
Well, Francis, to me, has always been the most confident player I've ever come across. Confidence in his own ability. A tremendous goal scorer. In a side, you always got to rely upon someone to win the game. You know, we could always score goals, but if the situation arose, we were up against it. The quarter-final at Main Road when we played Tottenham, and it was an end-to-end game. It was a very tight situation. Tottenham had come to sort of close it up and everything like that. And I think there was about 5 or 6 minutes to go, and he got it out of nothing. He scored the goal out of nothing. He was the type of player that could go forward, have a go at people. And he was an aggressive type of person where we could all rely upon, you know, the first 5 minutes of any game, we always used to touch up these defenders, find out how hard they were, and he was one of these type of players. But a great player, great England player as well. Confidence in his own ability, which is a tremendous thing. Colin Bell, there's not a lot really you can say about Colin Bell because, as Francis has said, he was, to me, the complete footballer. The only thing that sometimes worries me about him that we never really saw the full extent of his ability. I mean, we used to come off the field at half-time, we slathered in sweat, and Colin used to come off with a blob because he used to play the game so easy, control of the ball, any position, cover the ground, far better than anybody could ever think of. You talk about people getting into boxes today, he could be in the box, having a go at goal, back defending before we can say Jack Robinson. Amazing player, great player. Two great players, and people, when they talk about great players today, very rarely do you ever hear him say Francis Lee or Colin Bell, but let me tell you, to play with those, and you ask some defenders around the world, and in the first division, and they tell about players like your Tommy Smith, you'll ask him, he'll tell you.
Just looking back on that era at Manchester City, what is your fondest memory? What comes to mind?
I think it was all a great memory. It was a great time to be at Manchester City. We had so much fun. There were so many characters. We had so many laughs. You couldn't buy that. It was absolutely a real marvellous part of my life, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Well, for me, it was just a pleasure to go in every morning because everything was so happy and people were so happy and everything was going well and success was there. It was terrific times, so happy. That was basically it, the happiness every day.
Personally, for me, is actually being a part of the history of Manchester City, because when I came there, the first thing that looked for me was the actual ground. I played at Swindon under a small ground. I came there and I thought, you know, the tradition of the club, but also the opportunity to play with great players. I mean, great players and a great team, and be managed by a person that's always been admired as a footballer and as a manager, Joe Mercer, and with Malcolm Allison, who really, you know, I was just an ordinary player, and he gave me the ability and not the ability, he gave me the opportunity to go out there and play the way that I could play, gave me the confidence to play that way, and also to play with people like Francis Lee and Colin Bell, who, you know, their record stands for itself. It was just a great period of my life, and a life, as they've all said before, that you can never get that back. We played football with a smile and enjoyed it.